My beautiful friends, famously there are two versions of this story, one more extreme than the other. It takes place a few hundred years ago in the times of the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov comes to a certain town, and it's Erev Yom Kippur, and there's a little boy who lives in this town. He must be maybe a bit older than a little boy, 12 or 13 years old. And he can't read, but he's heard of the Baal Shem Tov, and his father says to him, Rabbi Yisrael Baal Shem Tov is going to come, and over Yom Tov davening, he's going to open up the gates of heaven. And what happens is that it comes time for Erev Yom Kippur, and this boy, a simple boy, he comes to shul as well. And everyone's davening, but this boy is frustrated, he can't daven. Maybe he's dyslexic. He opens up the Siddur, and it makes no sense to him, even though he had tried to learn to read. And in the midst of davening, he's looking for the Baal Shem Tov, and he can't see the Baal Shem Tov because there's so many people, and he's standing at the back. And all of a sudden, he had this unbelievable urge to cry out. One version of the story, he cries out, and he says, Hashem, I may not be able to read, so I'll just shout out the Aleph base, and you put together the words. And he shouts out Aleph, base, and Gimel. And the second Gerzi, more radical, he plays the flute, and he takes out the flute and he starts playing the flute in the midst of the Yom Kippur davening. Everybody turns around and tells the boys, stop, you're making noise, quiet, shah. The Baal Shem Tov turns around and he says, stop. He says, you don't understand. There was an unbelievably horrific gezerah that was going to come the beginning of the year, in the next number of months. And I was working so hard to try and mevatel this gezerah, yet I could not. However, when this kid did what he did, when this teenager did what he did, coming from the depth of his heart, he pierced the heavens, he flung open the gates of Shamayim. What's beautiful about this story is that usually it's a tzaddik who is mevatel the gezerah, it's the scholar who is mevatel the gezerah. And it's not even the Baal Shem Tov himself who's mevatel the gezerah. It's this 12, 13-year-old kid. And whether it's the flute story which is being mechalel Yom Tov, what's going on here? What's going on is that, number one, when something comes from such a deep place, we have no idea what it does on high. And number two as well, we have no idea how things manifest. And the Baal Shem Tov is teaching us an incredibly deep message here, that wherever we are in our journey, be real, be l'shem shamayim, with whatever you're doing. Obviously, it's not an invitation to chas v'shalom break halacha. It is an invitation to recognize we don't know how the world works. And what we do know is the deeper, the more profound. So Be'ezras Hashem, when we get up and daven, we should talk from the deepest places. And mamash recognize we have the koach to open up sealed doors, and tefillas can penetrate so deep,